can neither read nor write. And of them, 2/3 are women. Room to Read is a charity which is working with local people in Africa and Asia to help get girls into education. Its founder, Erin Ganju, spent last week in Davos, where she tried to persuade world leaders to do more to support literacy. So, Erin, what did you say to world leaders to persuade them to take literacy seriously?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here in the UK, where we have a strong base of support for Room to Read. And coming off of Davos, I was heartened by the conversations. We talked a lot about the new global context and having inclusive growth. And of course, with inclusive growth, you immediately can start to think about girls and women. They have to be part of that growth in a very active way. And through education is a great equalizer. So there are many receptive conversations about gender parity, and certainly gender parity in education as a leader in that.
So how does Room to Read actually work on the ground?
Well, we have a really holistic program. The reality, as you said, is that girls are largely remaining out of school. So a key component of our program is keeping more girls in school. We have over 30,000 girls on the program across Asia and Africa. But it's also about giving them the life skills outside of school to be successful. And we do that through our female role models and mentors that work on a curriculum through empowerment. All the things you need to be successful around communication skills, leadership skills, problem solving, goal setting, health and hygiene, financial savviness. And that is a really important component of our program.
What prompted you to set it up?
Well, I've come out of the business world myself, the for-profit world. I started out in the finance sector. I worked for a company setting up a new business in Vietnam, and everywhere around me I saw the biases against women. And yet women are really holding up this planet. We do the majority of the work in the home, as well as in many agricultural communities in the fields and outside of the home. And it just seemed fairly unfair to me that we don't hold the strings to the household budget, to the politics, to decision making. And so there's just really strong biases. The reality is if you educate 10% more girls in a country, GDP goes up by 3%. You can almost find no better rate of return.
But how willing are communities you work with to have their girls reading when there's cooking, water carrying to do, and no light in the evening?
Yes, there are definitely strong cultural, societal, sometimes religious biases. But we have found, though, is by working with parents directly and talking to them about making long-term, decisions for their family, for their girls, that help lift them out of poverty, and focusing on the economic benefits and prosperity for the whole family by educating girls, they're more open to it. So we come at it maybe a little subtly through education and the lens of an education. But what you see over time is that girls start to speak up for themselves. When they make it through the end of 12th grade, they have significantly different presence in the community. It is a badge of honor, and they are looked up to because very few children make it that far, and certainly very few girls.
But how do you ensure, once you've started a scheme going, and then clearly you leave, presumably, to go somewhere else, how do you ensure they're allowed to continue when you're not there all the time?
Right. We work for several years to institutionalize the program at the school level and at the community level to help overcome some of the biases. And the girls themselves, as alumni of the program, really become those advocates. We are seeing more than 70% of our girls go on to university education. They're becoming doctors, teachers, community leaders, engineers, and they are leading the change themselves. So you are, it's a ground up process, but they change the dynamics and sustain the program through their own empowerment.
What real difference do you think you've made? Who are your stars?
I'm thrilled. We're, as a young organization, just seeing some of our girls graduate from college and university. Certainly more and more girls are getting through the end of 12th grade on our program. And what we're seeing is, that they're defining things for themselves. And we have girls that will say, we don't want to be married early. We want to be the community leaders. They're going out and they're, leading through their own choices. And to me, it's not so much about what they do, but it's the fact that they have a choice. Most women and girls in the developing worlds don't have choices. And now, wherever they take this, it is a step forward because they are making those decisions themselves.
Erin Ganju, thank you very much indeed.